to episode 22 of Tile Hub TV. We're here with Zachary Jeans. Absolutely honoured to be joined by you at Dreamforce.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
So you're very well known, but for anyone that's watching or listening that perhaps doesn't know who you are,
Sure.
Who is Zachary Jeans?
So Zachary Jeans is an ex-truck driver, ex-coffee barista who found his way into the Salesforce ecosystem through my sister-in-law, Brandy Colmer.
Okay.
She was kind of an early adopter of the platform and one of the first MVPs.
Sure.
Went by force.mom on Twitter for some of the old school people that know that. But yeah, Brandy had encouraged me. I was deciding what I wanted to do next, and I grew up in Portland where we have a lot of software companies. Intel is up there. And I'd seen those ecosystems sort of destroy people instead of being a positive thing, right? And she kept saying, no, Zach, you don't understand. Like, this great group of people, I know you love business, I know you love technology. And as I observed her, I was like, wow, it's legit. So I went all into Salesforce, started crowdsourcing my understanding of the ecosystem via Twitter, hashtag SFDC. That's another old school thing.
Sure.
And then the first community group, because communities used to be on a forum, like a WordPress site.
Yeah.
I mean, really bad. And so they had launched Chatter at Dreamforce 2010.
Yeah.
They're desperate to get people to actually use this thing, because back then we didn't have Slack or any of these. And so what they did is a bit of a hook to get you to do it is, hey, if you register for Dreamforce today, we'll give you access to the first Salesforce community.
Oh, no way.
Right? So I was like, I paid my $700. I was like literally driving truck at the time. I was in a truck stop at 2 a.m., paid my $700, and got access to this community. And again, just asking questions, offering some value where I could, and that's what brought me into Salesforce. And that's who I am. I'm currently the vice president of marketing for a company called Absence Soft. And Absence Soft essentially deals with the whole leave issue. So like somebody has a child, mom's sick, there are laws that govern that.
Yeah.
And companies want to take care of their employees so that, well, they go take care of what they got to do and then come back.
Sure.
And so that's the company I'm with now. And they're just outside the ecosystem. And we're a Salesforce customer. And then I'm in the process of helping us partner up with the partners.
Okay, cool. So what's your involvement in the community now? So you've obviously things have developed and you've come a long way. So what's your involvement?
So I've had a number of adventures. My first adventure back in 2010, 11 was they discovered this guy, me, just tweeting and talking, but they were like, he's driving a truck. What is this all about? And back then the community was much smaller. And I got a phone call from a guy named Tom Wong, who was formerly the vice president of Dreamforce.
Okay.
And Tom recently started a company called Evently. And Tom asked me, he's like, hey, Zach, so I was asking for somebody who's not an MVP to join this thing. I hear you're a truck driver, but you're running a business. What are you, right? I was like, well, Tom, I'm making this transition. And he's like, I would love you to join me on this road trip. We want a road trip from Chicago to Dreamforce in San Francisco in an RV. Are you down? And I said, absolutely. So I help that group two ways. I help with the logistics, being a truck driver, or lorry if you're somewhere else. And so I understood pacing. And the other thing I was really good at is digital marketing with social media. So I helped refine and niche down that brand to Road to DF, Road to Dreamforce, which Salesforce eventually then took and now does that as a corporate thing. So I've done a number of these things over the years where it's a tour to India where I went to try and bridge this gap between, I think, Western, like Europe and America. We see our friends in India as, sadly, I think, is just, they're just a resource. And I think it dehumanized those relationships. And this bothered me because I knew Rupesh Bhatia, I knew Kishore over in Bangalore, I knew, I didn't know her yet, but I got to know Radhika and Shruti and all these people over there through Twitter. And they were real people to me. And so having some social media following, I was like, hey, what if we did a tour? I went all around India over a month. We did user group meetups. and we elevate women in tech because there were no women in tech groups in India except for one. So we went over, we did it, elevate that, and Salesforce and a lot of other folks then kind of went, oh, well, I think it's just they didn't see that.
Yeah, sure.
And so I think what came out of that then was, well, we had no idea that India had the second largest amount of developers, right?
Yeah.
And APAC in general, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so just things like that. I try to go find a way to give back and shine a light on other people.
Sure.
Yeah.
So a lot of your brand has grown through having a social presence and being online.
Sure.
What benefit do you think a Salesforce professional can have or get from having an online presence?
So this is interesting, right? And it's interesting to me because I literally just had this question with a partner downstairs on the floor. For a number of years before I was the VP at AbsenceSoft, I was an independent. And I would just help companies, whether it's a system integrator or an ISV, figure out how to humanize themselves and connect with this whole ecosystem of business in that human social way.
Sure.
So I'm talking with them downstairs and I said, well, hey, I'm talking to their marketing person. I said, so what is your Twitter handle?
Sure.
Oh, I don't have one.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So here's the thing. A lot of businesses try to project themselves as professional. We want to earn that Fortune 5,000 or, you know, whatever your market is, right?
Sure.
So we want to appear right. And what they miss is that the special thing about this ecosystem is that genuine humanity, right? So if you aren't doing anything that's human, then people aren't connecting to you.
Sure.
And how Twitter relates to that, or whether it's Instagram or whatever, you know, whatever platform you're comfortable on. If people can't connect with your brand through a real person, a brand evangelist, somebody who represents your company and talks, then they're just connecting with you like a printed flyer, you know. And how much emotional attachment do you have a printed flyer?
Sure. Yeah.
Not much, right?
Yeah.
But if I get to know Ben, they get to know Zach, I'm like, hey, that's a real person there at that company. And then, hey, can you tell me a little bit more?
Sure.
And so that's, I mean, the power of Twitter. And here's the other reason why Twitter specifically is important within this ecosystem is Mark Benioff has been he loves the platform.
Almost bought it, right?
Yeah. And he runs his own account.
Yeah.
Somebody else is not tweeting Mark's account.
Sure.
And what that does is that's leadership, right? And everyone who's like tied into this like a heartbeat or just that nervous system of the Salesforce ecosystem, they're on Twitter.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, and that I completely agree with the whole. I'm not on Twitter enough, and that's.
I will encourage you. Come on, more.
LinkedIn is my thing. That's where
LinkedIn
I spend
works
my time.
too.
But yeah, I do see there's
more of a
audience
conversation though on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
It's more of a chat.
Agreed. Yeah, but what about? So I understand companies absolutely need a presence and an individual and personal presence. But what about like you're just a Salesforce developer? Like why is it important for them to have an online presence as well?
So the encouraging part about that, you know, especially from the talent hub. You know, it's like, that's where my friends who are devs, whether it's, you know, you're all the way up there at that CTA level, Chief Technical Architect, or, you know, you're junior admin developer, right? Yeah. The people out on Twitter are all over the world, right? In every kind of company, whether it's big dogs like Accenture, or it's somebody like some, you know, small shop out in Philly like CRM Science.
Yeah.
And it's like you've got these people out there and they're conversing about, oh, hey, not just developing stuff, but like, this is what I'm doing in my personal life. This is the event I'm going to. Yeah. It builds trust. They meet at something like a Dreamforce, builds more trust.
Sure.
Hey, I'm looking for something new.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let me tell you about this.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's also like this week I was trying to help a friend, Kathy. She just, her company just kind of dissolved because people went different ways, small shop.
Sure.
She's like, hey, Zach, I'm looking for something. It's like, okay, cool. Let me put it on Twitter, take a picture, right? Do a selfie.
Yeah.
Tag 10 friends, like, hey, can you retweet this? Can anybody have any idea? And, you know, you just get it out.
Sure.
And then that's how people help each other.
Yeah. So what about if someone's watching this, listening to this, and they're like, right, I need to get on Twitter, I need to get a presence. What are some really easy steps just to get started?
Okay, so First of all, you don't have to drink the entire fire hose of Twitter. Okay, I think that's the first mistake. And especially if you are slightly introverted, as many of my dad friends are, and also if you're very analytical in that you like to understand and process all the information that's coming past you,
Sure.
Twitter can be a very bonkers place, right? What I say is it's like a big river flowing by, and occasionally you see a leaf or something, an interesting thing. That's like a tweet. Grab it, look at it, put it back in the river.
Yeah.
Don't try to understand that entire river flowing by.
Sure.
And once you give yourself permission to not have to read everything, it's okay. It takes that off your shoulders.
Sure.
The other thing is make a profile, give us a real picture of you. And because if I meet you in real life, if I meet Ben, I want to know that's Ben. Maybe not a picture of Batman or Spider-Man or your cat or your dog.
Sure.
And tell us more than just what your title is and where you work. Say, well, I like fishing, or I'm really passionate about helping this charity.
Yeah.
And this stuff matters.
Yeah, of course.
It really does.
I'm learning a lot, so I need to change my Twitter my Twitter picture because it's a picture of Talent Hub, I think. So,
there you go, right?
So yeah, I'm going to change some stuff up.
And here's the other thing. If you're a developer, you can communicate and add value to conversations you weren't invited into. And I think that can be scary.
Yeah.
So if you're at one of these mixer events that we go to in the industry, you stand there and it's like, do I walk over to that table? I don't know anybody. In Twitter, it's similar. There's that anxiety about approaching people you don't know.
Sure.
But if you see something and you have a question about what they're talking about, you can just tweet in, reply, and say, hey, I just saw what you said there. I have a question.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know if you've already discovered this. My name's so-and-so, and there's a link over to this blog that they just wrote on devs.
Sure.
And you start that interaction of helping and asking.
Yeah.
The more vulnerable you are, the willingness to open up. Brené Brown wrote a book about daring greatly. Some people have read this. It's scary, but the more real you are, the more willing people are to connect with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Because they realize, oh my gosh, wow, that's real.
That's a genuine person.
Yeah.
And you're passionate about uplifting leaders.
I am.
So leadership has been a big topic.
Yep.
Obama yesterday, and it's an interesting topic because, like, is it something can everyone become a good leader?
Sure. So I believe two things about leadership. One, I think we all have natural propensity to certain things. Like, I can tinker around, I can write a couple lines of code. It's not my passion to solve programming puzzles. Like,
Sure.
It's just not, I learned enough to click around Salesforce like crazy, but it's not my natural propensity, right?
Yeah.
So it's not my natural gifting, but I could teach myself. Same with leadership. So it may not be something that you're naturally, inclined towards. However, there are basics, right? There are the things that you want to do as a leader, no matter where you're at in an organization or in your sphere of influence, right? I have this saying, your impact matters.
Yeah.
And what that means is that whether you know this or not, there are people that are observing you all around you.
Sure.
Some of them your family, some coworkers. Then there are people that are just on the periphery of your vision.
Yeah.
You don't see them. And they're watching you.
Sure.
Right? They're listening to you.
Yeah.
And when you behave in a way that goes towards the thing that you think is valuable and talk about that, they follow. Mm-hmm. That's leadership. It's essentially I think leadership, this is the special gifting part about it, is seeing a vision of something that not everybody else sees, right? Hey, I see that thing over there. There's this, maybe there's this idea you have about the way DevOps should be.
Sure.
Right? And so you want to go there yourself, then you look to your left and to your right and you ask a friend, or you just put it on Twitter, hey, I think that's important. This way of doing things.
Yeah.
These are some questions I have about it. You invite people into that journey and you just walk forward and
Sure.
they'll come with you.
Yeah.
And you can do that whether it's at work about, hey, I think we eat too much birthday cake. Can we just do one a month?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, maybe that's the kind of leadership that you're giving.
Sure.
And it may be something really powerful, like, or it could be something, like I care about human trafficking, sex trafficking.
Sure.
And so people will find me posting about that all the time on Facebook or Twitter. And, you know, what does that have to do with Salesforce? What does that have to do with my job? Nothing, but it has a lot to do with all of our lives and caring about people, right?
Yeah.
So whatever your thing is, share the vision of what it is, invite others to look at it with you, and where you see opportunity to serve, invite others to serve with you, and that's leadership.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So to someone outside of the ecosystem, a complete newbie, how would you describe this crazy world that we all live in?
Yeah, so like if you're coming from the Microsoft .NET, you know, like Azure or wherever you're at, maybe you're still doing mainframes, who knows? And then they were like, hey, we're going to use this relational database called Salesforce. So I float in and out of a lot of ecosystems, and this one continues to be special. I think it's because at first you think maybe Mark Benioff and this whole Ohana is a cultural appropriation of the Hawaiian people, and maybe this is not a good thing. And maybe you think that all their talk about giving back is just to look good. Well, I think it would be a lie to say that it's not. Yeah, there's a little cultural appropriation, and that's a little, you know. And maybe this whole talking about giving back, they know it benefits them. But at the core, they really believe, and I think anyone who really gets involved really begins to understand, it's okay, like Mark says, to do well by doing good. Mm-hmm. It's okay to invite that whole, like I talked about human trafficking, like it's okay to invite that part of my life into my professional life in this ecosystem, right? And when we do that, what it creates is more human connections. It's not showing up at a conference and it's like, what can I get out of Talent Hub? Can we do any business? No? Okay, yeah, it was nice meeting you. I'm out.
Yeah.
No, it's like, well, I don't know how we'll work together. Maybe we won't.
Sure.
So what are you into? Oh, well, you're into this.
Yeah,
we have a human connection. I'll see you next time.
Yeah.
So this is this friendly environment. I have a friend, he works for a company in the ecosystem, but he came out of the Oracle, trade show world.
Sure.
And I remember him coming up at a conference that I was helping run at the time, one of these Dreamin' events. These are user-led conferences. Salesforce does not do these Dreamin' events. And he comes up to me, he's like, hey, Zach. He's whispering, right? Hey, Zach. And he's looking around. He's like, this is insane. What? I don't understand. I've never been in a tech world where people are nice and smiling. Why are they smiling? And I'm like, man, I mean, just wait. He was new to it, right? Now, 6-7 years later, he gets it.
Yeah, he's fully
totally. He's just into it.
Yeah, that's the beauty. And you do see people going on that journey, and they're a bit like apprehensive, and then they're all in.
Yeah.
So you have a big online presence, and we've spoken about why it's important. But who should people be following online? Who else do you recommend people are engaging with?
Yeah. So I try to be a facilitator as much as anything. So I would say you can, of course, follow me, and then if I'm talking with people, you can pretty much trust. I mean, I like to engage authentic people. So you can follow me at Zachary Jeans on Twitter. Eric Dreschfield. Yeah. Eric Dresch is his Twitter handle. Really solid person. I mean, Mark's good, but Mark is definitely going to be tweeting, a handful of things. Vala Afshar. Vala is the Chief Digital Engagement Officer of Salesforce.
Sure.
And Vala, you'll find actually Vala will not tweet about Salesforce all that much at all.
Yeah.
Let's see, another really good person, Tony Profit. If you're talking Salesforce-y leadership.
Sure.
In the community, there are groups to follow, like Rad Women.
Yeah.
They do code WIT Devs, Women in Tech Devs. And they're doing good things, but they all have networks around that, right? Yeah. So if you start to follow that and you see, well, who are they talking to? Daniel Peter, a dear friend, good guy, top level, CTA type guy. works for, I think, Robot Pencils, good company. And he runs this Salesforce group here in San Francisco. They're great people. The Chris Duarte, who leads Trailhead, or part of Trailhead.
Yeah, Chris was over in Australia recently.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's just so many wonderful people. And maybe I'm coming across way too extroverted right now for some viewers or listeners. But it makes me so happy because really all week, I just ran into two dudes that I have known forever on Twitter. One is from Namibia, so way down south on the south side of the African continent. And one friend that I met at my India tour and on Twitter that now lives in Finland. And we are standing there together. And really, the binding connection point, Twitter.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, look, thank you so much. You've added a huge amount of value for me.
Thank you.
And I'm sure our listeners and viewers are going to love this. So thank you very much.
Oh, so good, Ben.
Pleasure to meet you and share some time with you. So
yeah.
Thank you.
To be continued.
Cheers.